Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And back by, let's call it popular demand, I'm bringing back a segment I debuted last month. This is what I'm calling an end of month wrap-up video. This time we're talking about September 2025. In case you missed out on last month, essentially I wanted a video that was just kind of a summary of what I was reading, what I had finished reading, what were my standout reads of the month, what I was looking forward to, and I thought it would be a cool way to timestamp what I was doing that month, and maybe tease some things you might see on the future of the channel in coming weeks. So to that end, we're about to jump into some of my favorite notable standouts. I tried not to have any redundant books from last month, even though there were some that featured heavily in my month, like the all-new X-Men Omnibus, which I did finish in September. But again, for this video, I'm just doing newer books that weren't on the last video. And before we jump in, as always, I would like to shout out the channel sponsor, Panel Bound Comics. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, perhaps some of the books featured in this very video, I'd always recommend for you to check out their website. You can actually find the link to that site in this video's description. If you see anything there you like, you can use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a great way to support the channel. Thank you for considering. Now let's wrap up this month. Alright, kicking off this list today, we're going to be talking about Disney's Epic Mickey The Comics Collection from Fantagraphics. Now I know that this is part of my September wrap-up, but this is actually one of my current nightly reads just about, and I have been having a blast. Now I don't think that this book properly publishes until October or November, but I did get an early review copy from Fantagraphics. Thank you to them over there for sending it over. Now I have been a fan of Disney and Mickey Mouse for pretty much all my life, and I really like just various pieces of Disneyana. Now, as I've been getting more into comics, I've recently read more of the Duck comics and some of these other prestigious books coming out from Fantagraphics. But when I looked at their upcoming catalog and saw that they were releasing an Epic Mickey collection that was basically adaptations of the video games, but written by Peter David with incredible art, well, frankly, I knew that this was something I'd want to check out. This book is loaded with some great extras, including some introductions. We have little short comics featuring Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and then the adaptation of both Epic Mickey and Epic Mickey 2, a sort of epilogue essay, of course, and just other great miscellany that Fantagraphics always likes to do. But yeah, this book is an absolute treat. I think I did a short for it already, and I do have a full review coming shortly, but what I've read thus far has just been a really, really fun ride. I particularly liked some of the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit shorts. I didn't expect to see that in this collection. I thought it was mostly just Epic Mickey and Epic Mickey 2, so having all these little small misadventures with Oswald to kind of tee up the world of Epic Mickey, I thought was a real masterstroke. I know we've lost Peter David recently, rest in peace, but it was really great to also experience something from him I never had the opportunity to read. There is also material here that was never really physically collected in America, so this is just a really great book. Again, I love how Fantagraphics curates their catalog, and this for me was a huge standout from the year, and it's definitely been gracing my bookshelf now for a week or so, and I've been reading it, and it's really kind of captured my interest at the tail end here of September. If you want to see more coverage, definitely stay tuned, because as I said, a full review should be forthcoming. Next on my list today is a trade paperback collection coming by way of Humanoids. This is Eden. And frankly, I'm not exactly sure when I'm releasing this end of month video in context to when I'm going to release my full review of Eden, but I have already logged that review, so if you haven't seen it yet, stay tuned. If you have seen it, just pretend this is new information. Essentially, Eden is a sci-fi family drama in a kind of dystopian future wherein the Earth and its resources, it's just been overpopulated and overharvested, and Earth is kind of a ghetto, for lack of a better term. People are looking elsewhere into the stars to basically find a new planet to call their home that has rich natural resources and is not as densely overpopulated. Well, in this world, presumably there has been a planet found called Eden, and there's basically a ship that takes people over to Eden, but only for the upper elite that can pay an exorbitant fee to get to that planet. Beyond that, you can save up all of your possessions to try to buy a lottery ticket where a couple people are selected to go. We have this family down on their luck, trying to find a way to get to Eden. They don't win the lottery, but they might be able to steal a winning ticket from someone who has. What happens once they aboard the starship trying to get to Eden? Well, I'll let you find out for yourself in the pages of this book. Suffice it to say, there were twists, there were turns, and I had a fun time making my way into this. I had not heard of this book prior to getting a copy from Humanoid, thanks to them over there, but I loved it. Honestly, this was a great one-and-done trade paperback that you can read absolutely like a graphic novel. In fact, I think it is a graphic novel. The art throughout it is amazing, and it is a very character-grounded tale that follows a husband, wife, and their teenage daughter as they try to scrap and struggle for more. A lot of interesting philosophical and ethical questions as well that pop up in this. Again, the writing is superb, intensely character-driven, and for fans of general science fiction and dystopian future, I think that this is a major hit. Definitely a highlight in my September reading, and one I want to remember in this list. And hey, if you're enjoying this video and you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I just wanted to offer the opportunity to do so. I'm always doing list videos, reviews, unboxings, shorts, and more. Thanks for considering. Now let's keep this wrap up going. Okay, next on my list is another trade paperback. This came by way of Titan Comics. This is Kraken, part of the Monster Forge universe. I do believe that this is the first volume in that broader universe. It was written by Shannon Eric Denton, with art from David Hartman. So what is Kraken? What can you expect from it? I think if you like swashbuckling, high-flying action serials, think that vintage kind of middle of the 20th century era adventure storytelling, if you cross that with a kind of otherworldly cosmic horror vibe, that juxtaposition there is Kraken in a nutshell. We basically follow a team of rogues, kind of smuggler-like characters who try to evade these kind of insidious groups of villains, but we had our main character flying through a kind of weird dimensional rift or wormhole and presumed dead for quite a while. Upon his return, he is forever changed, and though what ways we are led to guess throughout this book, it is a really fun journey finding him basically coming back to his home and trying to link up with past loves and friends and trying to get back into the swing of things while trying to avoid having what he encountered in that other dimension escape and wreak havoc on the earth. Again, it has that action serial feel along with just a lot of monsters. Honestly, it was a really fun book that I also don't think is overly explicit. So for people that really try to avoid super dark, bloody, edgy stuff, I think that this nicely threads the needle in a way that still feels, if not comical, lighter-hearted enough. There's an edge to it, there's a grimness to it. The monster character models are amazing, but I never felt like it was so grimdark that people that are turned off by that will, still have a chance to enjoy this. If you just like a good monster romp that, again, has those action serial vibes, this is definitely for you. I'm a big monster fan, especially if it's light on the horror, and I think that this was just so up my alley, I had to talk about it for the course of this video. This was another big and surprising standout for me in my September reading, and one I wanted to just kind of lay before you guys and recommend if it sounds like it could be up your alley as well. Stay tuned for a full review of this title as well if it hasn't already been released. Okay, next up for our September wrap-up, and from here on out, we only have omnibus editions, so if you're here for the oversized hardcovers, your wait is over. So to kick off our omnibuses for September that I want to talk about, we're going to be talking about the New Mutants Omnibus Volume 1. So full disclosure, this omnibus at the time of the recording is currently out of print. I'm very sorry if you missed out on an opportunity to get it during an in-print price. Hopefully it does get a reprint in the future, because this book is just stacked. This is such a fun read. So this has been on my to-be-read list forever. It's been there forever. Guys, I've had this omnibus for a couple years now. I've been wanting to make my way through it because this is the first big X-Men spin-off book. It has Chris Claremont. It has some gorgeous art throughout it. We have Bill Sienkiewicz in this as well. Just a really phenomenal book. It introduces us to Xavier's next team of mutants. That's right, the titular New Mutants. Characters like Sunspot and Cannonball and Rain and just so many more. It's a really fun team. Why I put it on this list is I decided to dust it off and really try to buckle down and get through it, and this 1,200 something page book, I'm over 1,000 pages, I believe, finally, so I'm really rounding in on home plate. I do think I'm finally going to be able to finish this soon. So this has definitely been on my reading list this September, and it's just one I want to talk about. I'm putting it in here not only as a timestamp, but hopefully as accountability and motivation to get this done. So after seeing this video, if you are a frequent watcher of the channel, if you're not seeing a New Mutants Omnibus review from me in the next couple weeks, hit me up in the comments and just say, what's going on? Where is it? Have you finished it? Because guys, I really want to get through this book. It's a really, really fun read, and I'm not sure why I've taken my sweet time with it, but I'm almost there. I'm almost there, and I had to showcase it. As I said, though, this is the first proper X-Men spin-off book, and the art is amazing. The stories and misadventures are fantastic, and while we follow a younger cast of mutants, they're all like kind of teenage, high school age, there are some very adult situations as far as the peril and drama, and even just kind of philosophy, psychology behind a lot of the storytelling. I was really surprised at just how well-rounded and great this book has been. Next on this list, you know I have to talk about Spider-Man. We're looking at the Spectacular Spider-Man by J.M. DeMatteis and Buscema Omnibus from Marvel Comics. Yes, this was a long anticipated release from Marvel Comics that I know so many people were eager to check out, myself included. Honestly, for never having read this material other than a couple of crossover issues, I was amazed at how much my view of Spider-Man, or kind of my quintessential Spider-Man in my brain, looks like the character models here from Buscema. I just really think that this is an iconic run. His design for Spidey and Green Goblin in particular, which you saw grace the cover, are just, they really stick out in my brain. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a child of the early 90s or not, but the character models here are just kind of imprinted, and the fact that I get to actually read this run now is a real dream. This has been one that's been gracing my shelf this month, and I've been picking through it every couple days, and I'm loving it. Full disclosure, I am only about 200 to 300 pages into this omnibus right now, but it is, well, spectacular. We kick off with a kind of sequel or epilogue of sorts to Kraven's Last Hunt, which was also written by DeMatteis, if I'm not mistaken, and I really liked that. It was Kraven's Soul of the Hunter. I didn't even know it existed, honestly. It was just this blind spot for me. But after really enjoying Kraven's Last Hunt, the chance to read Soul of the Hunter was a blast. After that, we jump right into a superheated and intense and psychologically rich story with Spider-Man versus the new Green Goblin and Vermin. Another really great tag up after the end of Kraven's Last Hunt. We get to see Spider-Man deal with Vermin after the events of that storyline. We get to see Harry as the Green Goblin and everything that could mean for Spidey and Peter Parker alike. And yeah, this book is really fun, and that's just the first couple hundred pages. This is a massive omnibus that I know leads us directly into that Clone Saga, which is not everyone's favorite, although I personally like it. This is a great just run, and I cannot believe we have it in omnibus. I can't wait to read more of it, and it absolutely was a highlight of my September reading. Okay, next up, another Spider-Man Omnibus that I've been making my way through this month. This is Spider-Man Gang War Omnibus from Marvel Comics. Now, this is a modern Spider-Man Omnibus. In fact, I think it's the most chronologically present Spider-Man Omnibus at the time of this recording that's been released. A very modern Spider-Man event book, and so far, honestly, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I heard mixed and negative reviews about this event, but as is often the case, I did want to read and evaluate it for myself, and so far, I'm really happy I did. How this book is mapped is kind of interesting to me. It starts off with all the main Amazing Spider-Man issues, which is where the real event of Gang War kind of narratively progresses. After you read all of the Spidey stories, which is basically the Gang War story, we then get into all of the tie-in issues and kind of one-shots and things that basically fill in the world of Gang War. So I noticed that Marvel does event books kind of like this sometimes, where instead of braiding issues and tie-ins in the middle of it, you kind of have the main event and then all the tie-ins and things at the end. I don't know if that works or not with this book. We'll see how I feel at the end of it, but so far reading the main event, I had a ton of fun with it. I thought it was a really great time. I think if you like a lot of the street level Marvel vigilante figures, this book had a really fun roster. We had characters like Spider-Man Peter Parker, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Woman, Daredevil, the Woman Without Fear, Elektra, for those that don't know, She-Hulk, Luke Cage, we have Danny Rand, we have Shang-Chi. Honestly, we have a lot of great characters here. The art throughout as well I thought was really fun. We had John Romita Jr. having some really good pencil work, I felt, and then a lot of other artists throughout. Again, I'm still making my way through all the tie-ins now, but this has been a pretty fun event book for me, and I'm eager to see what I'll think by the book's end. I should say as well, the general premise for Gang War is exactly what it sounds like. A lot of the mafia and kind of organized criminal empires within the Marvel Universe are all vying for territory, and it's up to Spider-Man and his ragtag group of heroes to basically divide and conquer and basically try to dismantle as many of these criminal organizations as possible. We have a central familial conflict right at the center that I won't spoil here, but yeah, a lot of fun. And as someone who hasn't been caught up on Spidey, I didn't feel like I missed out on that much before being able to dive right into this book, which I did appreciate. Okay, the next September book I wanted to talk about, we have Black Panther by Reginald Hudlin Omnibus. So why I put this on my wrap-up list video is that, well, I got it this month. Thank you to those at Panelbound Comics for sending it my way, but also because this was a wish list item for me for some time. Honestly, I am a relatively newer fan of Black Panther. I'd say the last couple years I've been reading more of his comics. I really loved the run by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I've been kind of dabbling ever since then. This was a run I was really curious about because I know this run has him marrying Storm from the X-Men, and I really just like this period of Marvel Comics. I know this also has some art from John Romita Jr., and honestly his art here is some of my favorite as well that he's produced that I've had the privilege of reading. But yeah, this run I was just always interested in. This is a massive omnibus. I know I saw overviews and reviews of this from people like BJ over at Comics Are Dope, amongst others, Omar at Near Mint Condition. Anyway, just a wish list item that I finally have in my hands this month, and I am having fun so far. This one I'm also only a little bit into, I think maybe 100 pages, give or take, so I'm still newer with this, but it's absolutely on the bookcase, and it's something that's currently on my mind. Again, I wanted to showcase this as part of my wrap-up because this was just a huge get for me as a collector. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to secure a copy of it before it went out of print, and I'm elated to have it here now. The art throughout it, like I said, is great. This is a massive book. I'm not exactly sure when I'll finish it, just to be completely candid, but I am enjoying going through. We start off with a kind of story going into the history of Wakanda and its place in the world before launching into basically a Black Panther origin retelling, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Again, that John Romita Jr. artwork at the beginning, though, is fantastic. The way it implements Claw into Black Panther's origin I also felt to be a bit fascinating. I am eager to see as I get deeper into the book, just seeing it overlap more with Storm and the X-Men, and I think even Fantastic Four around this period. Again, I'm just eager to see where this goes. I know that this is another big kind of lore-building chapter in the world of Black Panther, and I'm just really happy Marvel has it in an omnibus, and I now have it on my shelves. When I think about September of this month, I don't want to forget about Black Panther by Reginald Hudlin. And last but not least, for omnibuses I wanted to showcase here in September is the new Avengers Omnibus Volume 1. This is from Marvel Comics, written by one of my favorites, Brian Michael Bendis. Why I wanted to showcase it, actually at the time of this recording, I just finished up wrapping up my review for this video, but I want to showcase it because this is a book I've always wanted to finish. I actually had an older copy or older printing of this very omnibus years and years ago before I sold it thinking I was out of the game. When they reprinted this, I was so elated to get a copy, I think a year or so ago, but it's been on my shelf and I hadn't fully finished it. Well, I committed to finishing it and I have now achieved that in September, and I can't wait for Volume 2. I think that's slated to come out, if I'm not mistaken, in November of this year, 2025, and that will be a first printing, so I will be able to read Avengers stories I never read before. I know this book started around the time of House of M. It kind of goes through the Civil War era and ends right at the gates of Marvel's Secret Invasion. So where we pick up in the Volume 2, I honestly cannot wait to see what happens there with this deeply fractured team at this point. The art throughout this book, though, is absolutely phenomenal. We have art from David Finch and many, many more. We have the talents of course, Bendis there on the writing, one of my personal favorites. His run on Daredevil and Ultimate Spider-Man made me forever ever a fan of his work, and this book is no exception. A truly wonderful read so far, and I think once this run ends properly in omnibus format, I can't wait to look back and see how I evaluate this run with other Avengers runs that I've read. But so far it's off to a great start. I think the character roster and team for this book is phenomenal. The returning Avengers are great, like Iron Man and Captain America, of course, but I really like some of the new Avengers characters they bring on, characters like Spider-Man and Wolverine and Luke Cage, and of course Sentry, who I think was created in this era. Really fun stuff here. I cannot wait to show you my review of it in more extensive detail. Again, I did just finish recording it, so I'm not sure if I'm releasing that before this wrap-up video or after, but definitely stay tuned, be on the lookout for it, because this one was a really fun one to read, and honestly, a fun one to talk about for that review. So when I think about September 2025, this is another one that makes the list. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start closing up this wrap-up video for September 2025. But as I do so, like I said last month, this is a newer segment, and while reception seemed to be popular last month, I would still really value your feedback. Do you like this segment? Should I continue doing it? I honestly had a lot of fun putting it together. I know format-wise, it is very similar to a lot of the list videos I do, but I think focusing it on just kind of my highlight reel for the month, it's just a really cool, almost video journal for me of things I want to remember from the month, but also a fun tease of things I might have coming up on the channel. Some of these things I might not show right away on the channel, or I might not complete right away, so I think it's also a great way to show things on my bookcase or books I'm excited about that might not show up right away either. I don't know. I thought that this would just be a fun catch-all, and honestly, I really enjoyed producing it last month. Reception seemed good enough to try it again this month, but please let me know again in those comments if I should continue. Also, I'd love to hear what was on your September wrap-up. What have you been reading? What do you hope to get? What have you recently collected? Let me know all about that. Or if you are fond of any of the books I've presented here, if you picked up any of these, if you've been reading any of them, if you read them, I'd love to hear all of that and more in the comments section. Again, this was a really fun month, and I tried to really select this in a curated way, give you some from different publishers, and again, I couldn't highlight everything, but I really stand by a lot of these ones. Anyway, send those comments over. I think I've talked enough, so until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, those comments we talked about, and maybe share this video with a friend. Thanks all, have a good one.